testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try and become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us.
Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Skip.
What's going on these days, Skip?
Nothing, just settling back into normal life after our week abroad in Turkey. And we're just kind of like settling back in. Both of the kids have birthdays in the next week. So it went from like adventurous alone time with the wife to like super kid time and normal life. Yeah, so it's a shift. It's a shift.
It went to what if we just don't go back to like, well, we're full-time parents again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That must be nice though to have both kids at home anyway, having the same birthdays within a week of each other.
Yeah, I mean it's like nice to kind of get through it in a sense, but it can be a little stressful because it's like, okay, well, it's 2 weekends in a row. We've got to like plan some thing for the kids. Although our older boy is getting old enough that we can put most of the planning on him, and it's just like, well, if you don't invite people or they don't show up, it's your problem, buddy.
Right.
We'll make it as fun as it can be for the people that are there.
And then at some point, it's just going to be like, all right, we're going to dinner, and he doesn't even want to be with you guys because he's in the late teens, and why would he spend his birthday with his parents?
Yeah. Well, luckily we got a pretty good set of kids, so.
Yeah. No, I mean,
not
even
alienated yet.
Well, even so, not that would be a mark of like a shithead or anything. It's just that, they get older and they want to spend more time with their friends and be more independent. And you're inevitably, despite being as cool as you are, Skip, you're inevitably not going to be cool soon.
I mean, I'm pretty cool.
Hey, I look at you with stars in my eyes. But you know what's funny? I will say about that though. Like I've been saying since my niece was like, I've been foreshadowing this way too long. When she was really, really young, I'm like, well, at some point she's not going to want to like call me. She's not going to want to be interested in like chatting with me, and she's not going to give a shit if I visit. But she's like pushing 15 now, and she's still calling me, and she's still like, scolding me when I don't answer and giving me shit when I'm not available. So yeah, it's nice. I mean, she's still a young teen, but like I'm surprised that it's lasted this long.
Well, man, you're the cool uncle that like lives abroad and has traveled and gone on adventures. To put this in my youth terminology, in the 80s sitcom of life, you're the guest uncle that comes in that's all cool, not the uncle that lives down the street that's like a doof,
Right. Yeah, that's funny. So she had written, I don't know what the assignment was when she was like 12. She wrote an essay. It was supposed to be about her, and it ended up being about me. And it was like this long essay about like her adventurer uncle. And I asked her, can I read it? She was like, no. And so I've yet to read it. It still exists digitally somewhere. So eventually I'll read it. But it was an essay about me. So I thought that was really sweet. And exactly as you were describing, I think. Even then, I've only got so much mileage on the cool uncle bit,
Yeah, as you settle down and get into normal life, the coolness sort of fades. Like it's like the radioactive half-life of your coolness.
Yeah, it's exponential. Yeah.
All right. So what do you got for us in the news this week?
So this isn't exactly like news, but like, and I got to credit my sister because she's been talking to me. She's got, I don't know if we said this on air before, but she's gotten into politics recently. Not into, like, she's not running for anything, but she's been really, really interested in like becoming informed. And like, I'm really,
nice.
It's just a really, really nice thing to see because, I mean, I've been the only one in my family for the entirety of my life who was paying attention to politics. Or my mother started to, I think, kind of late in life, but it was on the wrong side of politics, so I don't really care about that. but my sister, she's like informed, and she's I mean, I've been really impressed by not just a passing interest, like she's paying attention. And she's been talking about James Talarico in as in the state assembly, or not assembly, state legislature for some time. And she's like, "Oh, he's the real deal," and this and that. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And he's running a primary against Jasmine Crockett, which has done well, I think. Like she's vocal and she's public.
She's
and
great.
Yeah. But
She's a bit of a firebrand. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's running a primary against her, which I was a little conflicted about at first. I mean, I guess either one would be great, but like seeing some of the like videos and stuff of him, and granted, there are like the clip that I'm going to connect on this podcast is from his YouTube. And it's just kind of a montage of like his debating with other representatives in the state house. He's an impressive dude, man. And he's like in seminary school. So he's like a hardcore Christian as well.
Right.
Not that that matters to
like
me,
like a legit Christian though.
Yes.
Not like I wear a Christian jacket, but act
exactly.
like asshole.
Exactly. Like I as a Christian, not me, but like I respect his Christianity because he's like the model Christian. He's what Christianity is supposed to be, not this sort of like pony show that you generally see.
Yeah.
So anyway, but my news is like, if you're voting, which is happening now, I think early voting in Texas.
For the primary,
vote James Talarico. Yeah, for the primary, you still have to vote for the general. Vote James Talarico, or at least check out the YouTube clip that we're going to link to, because he's an impressive guy and he's measured. He's intelligent. He's a young guy. I can't figure out how old he is. He's either in his late 20s or early 30s, maybe even mid 30s. I'm not sure, but very, very well spoken. He goes on all the conservative. He was on Joe Rogan. He was on Fox. He was like on all the conservative stuff, and he maintains his composure throughout the whole thing and just eats them alive. Have you seen anything about him?
Oh yeah. I've seen several things. I don't know if you saw the whole thing with Colbert. Did you see about that?
I did. Yeah. I watched the band interview on YouTube.
Yeah, where CBS said you're not allowed to have this guy on. And I think, anybody that like Bari Weiss, who's like a shill for the Trump organization, who's in charge of CBS News now, CBS in quotes news, anybody that they don't want you to see, anybody that powerful people don't want you to see, that's somebody you should watch. And I think that's like, and it was a good interview, but yeah, just a well-spoken, a soft-spoken guy, keeps his calm, is able to communicate, in the way that, like, speaking from our show, in the way that men should, where they're not getting flustered and angry or nasty or whatever. Sometimes in the way that we fail. But
sure.
But he just does a real nice job. And with that said, I also do really enjoy Jasmine Crockett. She does an awesome job. I'd be thrilled for either one of these people to run in a general and win. But yeah, they're both great, and they both need eyes on them. And absolutely go watch this video because it's cool.
What about you? What have you got for our news item?
So I've got, if it's okay, two quick ones, two really quick ones.
Sure.
Don't involve anything more. One is that I was listening to a podcast and I picked up on something that they recommended in it that I think might be really helpful for people, especially as they encounter behaviors or thought patterns that they know is not helpful, or even something that they know is ridiculous, but they are having trouble escaping it, like trying to control things that they don't have any control over, or like getting angry about things that they shouldn't, or whatever. And it was in the context of a guy that was frustrated taking care of his mother-in-law who has Alzheimer's, and having to like tell her the same thing like 70 times. And he's like a patient, loving guy, and he loves her and stuff like that. But you can understand why that's frustrating. Yeah. But the psychologist that was talking to him told him to say whatever it is that he's doing that's ridiculous, or believing that's ridiculous, in like actually say it out loud in a Mickey Mouse voice to show yourself how ridiculous it is. And I kind of love it. So like every once in a while I'll be walking around town, by myself. I'm not doing this on the trail. And I'll just be like, I'm trying to control things that are out of my control. and it's just like, it shows you, like, it allows you to accept how ridiculous the thing is that you're doing. Or like, whether it's about like, I'm slightly overweight and I'm 47. So that's like to be expected,
Sure.
like
Sure.
which might bleed into our topic for the day. But yes, something like that. And so that's my new thing. And feel free to use it for you or our listeners, just to like tell yourself tell yourself the ridiculous thing you believe in a Mickey Mouse voice so that you realize how ridiculous they are.
Well, you know what? I think that would have been really helpful to me starting about 4 years ago and then everything before then.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it would work really well when you're like complaining about somebody else, whether it's your partner or
Sure.
your roommate or a family member or whatever. But oh, they didn't wash the dishes. You put that in a Mickey Mouse voice, and you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
sound ridiculous right now, like
Right.
complaining about this stupid thing that doesn't matter about anything.
Right.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a good exercise. I'll probably employ it at some point whenever I'm griping about someone or something.
Just give it a shot. You might not keep it, but it's fun to do once or twice at the least.
Yeah, well, it's probably good to do with kids too.
Yeah.
It's just a simple way to. It's a fun way. Probably will break an angry cycle as well if they're having a tantrum or they're mad about something and just just can't get over something. You know what I mean? Well, put it in Mickey Mouse voice. See how it flies.
The second thing that I wanted to bring up is a short press release from Oxfam, which is Oxfam International, which is a global organization that fights inequality to end poverty and injustice, which sounds like a pretty good thing. But the thing that they released, and this isn't just from them, this is actually like from studies that they've done this, the richest 0.1% of the population is responsible for 50% of the pollution on the planet, which is just amazing. And, as people talk about, like, there's all these right left things, we hate you, you hate us, and things like that. And people see themselves as potential billionaires, so they don't want billionaires to get taxed and things like that. But there's also like, and I know a lot of people don't, if you believe in climate change, taxing these guys so that they can't do all the things that they're doing is actually a climate change action, in addition to like just a fairness thing where like you're getting so much from society, you need to give a little bit more back. So, and just to remind people that your enemy isn't always the person on the opposite political spectrum as you. Sometimes they are, but really it's the billionaires.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree, man. Like that applies to everything, whether it's like racial differences or religious differences. The reason those things are so trumped up, maybe not so much with religion, but the reason those things are so like front and center is because they're put there by people who, and this sounds conspiratorial, but like they're put there maybe not intentionally. I hate saying by design because I think that is conspiratorial, but
they actually, like, have you seen, like, Elon Musk bought X so that he could literally design the algorithm, and he's literally designed like Grok. Like, this is literally by design. A lot of these things.
that's fair, and that's, I guess this is the first maybe explicit example of it that I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But who's to say that hasn't been going on all along? I just feel like Elon Musk is an outlier, but I mean, I guess why would he be? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense that he would be the only person behaving that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the media, like the legacy media is going away. Like, they've kind of coalesced, and billionaires specifically are buying more of the things. Washington Post went to Jeff Bezos and he cut a third of their staff recently. CBS put Bari Weiss in charge of their news, and they've now, Paramount, which owns them, is now buying Warner Brothers, which owns CNN. So like all these legacy medias are going away. And like when Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, it was kind of ran for a little while, but he changed what the editorial page was about. He changed what kind of stories, like they can kill stories and things like that. So I don't think that it's an outlier. Like all of Fox News by Rupert Murdoch, that's all specifically designed to push his worldview. And it's really messed up our country. Like there's like lots of, this is by design to create fear and create hate by certain people because it sells.
Well, that's what I was going to say, though, is that you said that he was doing all this in order to push his worldview. And that's what I mean. Like, I can get behind that design. But what I meant by that this is intentional or not is like, is it really, I mean, I guess I kind of believe that it is, but is it really like to sow fear and anger in order to just disrupt society so that nobody stops what you're doing behind the scenes. That is where I'm
Sure.
like, is it really that nefarious, or is it just about ideology? You know what I mean? Like, I can
Sure.
understand that. Like, this is my worldview,
Yeah.
and this is what I want out there. Therefore, I'm going to buy everything so I control like the narrative. But whether or not it's like, oh, we're going to get this white group against this black group or brown group or whatever, and that'll keep them fighting for a while. Like, I don't know that it's that sophisticated, but
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe I'm being naive.
Well, I just think that you're too beautiful of a human being to imagine such evil, evil people. And that's a nice thing about you.
That must be it. How can I argue? Well, Skip, are you ready to fall in love?
Always.
All right. This question is question 35 from our 36 questions to fall in love. It's an article from the New York Times. It originated somewhere else, but this was about 10 years ago. And this is designed to make us closer friends and partners if we're gonna cross that bridge. So as I said, this is question 35, and it probably is the first question that I don't like of this whole thing, and it was second to last. But whatever, we're gonna go for it. So the question is: of all the people in your family, whose death would you find most disturbing, and why?
Oh, God.
Right? It's an ugly question. I don't really like it.
It really is. I guess the design of these questions is, though, to like probe emotional depth and
Yes,
vulnerability, and like you're right. I get why it's doing it, but also, come on, man.
Well, it makes you think of that person dying, and like, oh, when it occurred to me, I was like, no, I don't even want to talk about that. Like, why
Yeah.
would we? But go on, please. This is you're first.
Well, yeah, but I also think like this is usually designed for people that are single. So they're thinking about like the family they grew up with, like their parents,
True.
their sisters,
True.
their brothers. For a person that has like, I don't know, a wife and kids, that I feel like gets really difficult. So the most disturbing, like I think if anybody in my family died, I'd be like just beyond distraught. If my wife died, she's like the linchpin of our family. And she's
Mhm.
also the one that brings in most of our money. So we would be just trashed. Like,
Right.
she's an adult and she's had like not a full life. She's an adult, and I hope she lives to be, in her hundreds with me. But like, if one of my kids died, it would just, I don't even know. Like, I honestly, as much as I love the rest of my family, I don't even know like if I could go on. I don't know if it would like ruin me for everybody else, because
Mhm.
it would be so hard to deal with. And I've known people that have lost kids, and like seen some of what they've gone through. The people that I know have come out on the other side, tremendous people, but like it's a real dark path, and I don't know that I could get through it. I don't know if I'm like mentally strong enough to lose one of my sons.
Yeah.
So either one of them, and I'm not even gonna bother trying to differentiate. So I mean, like, yeah, it's just too hard to imagine. Every time I imagine something like that, I find myself in an opium den in like some some shady place in Asia.
That's funny.
Yeah. So how about you with this lovely, lovely question?
Well, mine's the same thing. Like, I don't have any kids, but like the first person I thought of was my younger sister, because we've always been really close. But then I thought, no, well, what about like her daughter, my niece? Like, that if she were to die somehow, like I can't. And that's what I mean. Like, when
Yeah.
this question made me think of that, and like it's such a
Right.
horrible thing to think about. Even I mean, that would be the most disturbing thing I think I've ever experienced. Like, she's a child, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and she's brought so much. She brought so much to my sisters and my mother and just everyone in her orbit. Yeah, for her to be gone, it's just unimaginable. But then
Yeah.
I extended that to like, I went back to my sisters, and like if one of them were to pass away, it'd be disturbing and disruptive. And then I thought about my
Yeah.
wife, like if Jody had died suddenly, it would be not only disturbing, it would be extraordinary. She'd be the most disruptive, I think, for me,
Yeah.
because like I see her every single day. I wake up next to her. I go to sleep
Right.
next to her. Like we share our responsibilities. She's my confidant. Like we're married.
Right.
With
Yeah.
with her gone, not only that, like it would be, I wouldn't not talk to my in-laws again, of course, but like that, she's our connecting factor. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like,
Yeah.
there's just my life as I know it would forever be
Cease
changed.
to
And
be. Yeah.
yes, yeah, exactly. And then I think about like my mother, like if she, like, that's what this is a horrible question because I didn't just think of one person. I
Right.
went through the
No,
whole
that
list.
you go through checking
Yeah.
out what each of those scenarios would look like. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and like my mother has always been kind of like the center of our family. You know what I mean? And with her gone, like we would all still communicate with each other, and we would all still be close, I think. But like the principal glue of the whole thing would just be gone, and that would be
Yeah.
extremely disruptive in our. And I've seen it with her mother when my grandmother passed away. I mean, they still all communicate with each other, but like she was certainly like the centering factor of it all.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, and that's not unique to our family. That's like most families. You usually have a
Sure.
person who is kind of keeps everyone together, and they're the hub of communication and the hub of
Yeah.
families. And like I don't talk to my older sister that often. Like her birthday was yesterday. I sent her a text message, but like we're in a group text chain. But I know what's going on in her life because I talk to my mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I say, hey, well, how's so and so, or what's going on with this person, and like, and she tells me. So like, I don't
Yeah.
have to make these calls, and I'm sure it's the same way with my older sister. She knows what's going on with me because she probably asked my mother, or my mother just volunteers because that's how she is. So
Yeah.
yeah, horrible question. Now we know, and
So I'm going to defend the question a little bit because the one thing, because every once in a while I do think about this, like we just renewed our life insurance because we have kids, and like it's shitty, but it does also force you to examine, like in thinking about losing those people, how much you care about them.
yeah,
And like the after effects can be like, it's a shitty thing to think about, but afterwards, like you do have that kind of appreciative glow about like, you know, I really love these people, and I would absolutely be wrecked if one of them were gone from my life. So
right,
there is that kind of nice thing as well. I'm not into ranking them, which I feel like this question sort of does. But I do feel like there's, the easy answer, and it was for both of us, is like a kid, because
yeah,
man, I'm not somebody that has been over emotional my whole life, but after I had a kid, like the way that movies and things affect me, it changed. Like it upped the ante significantly. So I get that. And it's actually one of the things, like I'm very much pro-choice on like the abortion issue, but like I can also empathize with people that think about the abortion issue in a different way, where they're like, this is a
mhm,
baby. Like, dude, that I remember how I felt about my baby. So like
yeah,
I'm not pro-life, but I am pro-choice. But like I can empathize with where they're coming from, and I think it's something that people could use to communicate with people that are pro-life, is that empathy, and saying like, yeah, I can empathize with the way you feel, but you also have to empathize with people that are in different situations as well. And like, so I don't know, I got off a little the subject, but like just the idea of, the thought of losing somebody can galvanize you to appreciate them more, and maybe gain, I don't know, some kind of appreciation for them, and things like that.
So the thing is, I've thought about these things before, though. That's the thing,
Yeah.
is that they're
Oh yeah.
they're sort of they're my private thoughts. You know what I mean? I don't have to
Yeah.
vocalize them to anyone because, like, why would I? That's just like unnecessary grief. And
Right.
I mean, I have thought about like what would happen if my niece passed away, but like I don't dwell. I don't really think about that. But I have thought about
Mhm.
my mother and thought it was like, well, because she's 72 now, I think, something like that.
Getting up there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you see people kind of change, and it's like, well,
Mhm.
she's showing her age a little bit, and so I've thought about it, but like and I recognize like her value, and I've thought about Jody as well, and I'm like, yeah, it would be bad if these people were gone. But as I said, I don't have to talk about it with anyone because
Right.
because it's just not something I typically do. So that's what I mean by being a bad. It's a great question for like probing, as you said, but yeah, and I think it's great for people who don't think about this kind of thing and who maybe don't appreciate what they have. But I think
Get
you
a
and I
little
both are.
introspection.
Yeah, I think you and I are both, introspective, and I think we're both appreciative of our family,
Yeah.
and we didn't need this question, and to explore our own minds.
So this week, our main topic, bigorexia. Have you ever heard of bigorexia before this?
Not until this morning. No big. I mean, I got the impression what it was before I drilled down, but
Right. Yeah. No. So bigorexia is like, it's sort of like the reverse of anorexia, where guys just feel like they can't be big enough or bulky enough. Or even when they're big and bulky, like the guy, we watched this video and we'll put it in the notes, and a BBC Newsbeat, and it was following a gentleman with bigorexia, and like the guy looked flawless. And he
we're
was
talking
just
muscles
like
here. We're not talking
muscles.
about like yeah, we're talking muscles.
Yeah. And he's looking at himself in the mirror and he's like, well, this is out of proportion to that. And I'd like this to be slightly different. And it sounds, I've known people and dated people in the past that had anorexia, and it sounds, the way they talk is just so similar. It's really kind of heartbreaking to hear. Like, you wouldn't think it because like the guy's ripped and he looks really good, and you're like, oh, it's so sad, but it is,
Yeah, watching that video, man, the guy like took his shirt off and he took his pants off. He's standing there in his underwear flexing. I'm like, what a hunk. This guy's like Olympian and like perfect body. And he was like,
Yeah.
ugh. Yeah, he's like, but he's like pinching the skin on where my love handles are. He was pinching
Right.
the skin there and be like, yeah, but why is this here? And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like he had an amazing body, but it was like, he was not looking at that in the mirror. He's looking at something that you and I couldn't see. He was like, this
Right.
isn't
It's body
this,
dysmorphia.
yeah, he's like, this could be better. This could be a lot better. And yeah, I mean, I guess I do understand it. Was it something that was like foreign to you, or did you get it?
I mean, they say that this is more common in men that were like teased or things like that. And as a young man, I was quite big, not muscly, but chunky. And so like, it's definitely like, I don't have bigorexia for sure, but I have lived my entire life since, being a teenager, unhappy with my body, no matter what kind of shape I get in. And I am conscious of it. Like, I've been 10 pounds heavier than this and been like, I'd be so much happier if I was 10 pounds thinner. And I've been 10 pounds thinner than I am now and been like, if I could lose 10 more pounds, it'd be perfect, And like,
yeah.
there's just that kind of, it's this moving bar. And some of it is from being teased. And there's a lot of this. I had my best friend when I was in junior high was bulimic. And a lot of this is in the same way that women deal with appearance issues, men do too, but it's really unreported. And one of the things they were saying in this video that I thought was key is, in a way, women have been conscious of this longer because they've been dealing with it much, much more. I mean, I'll be honest, like in the Czech Republic, I don't think there's so much image problem.
No,
But
I
like
was going to
different
say that.
societies, yeah.
I think in Europe in general, they're like, yeah, no, I'm fine with how I am. They're very, very comfortable with being just totally human.
But I think that's changing by age too. I think the younger people are much, they're much more into Instagram and TikTok and all these
Right.
things. And like, there's this expectation that you're supposed to look like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans or some Chris. And we can't all be Chris's. And yeah.
Wait, real quick, funny sidebar. When you mentioned Chris Hemsworth, I was watching a Thor, I think. It was some Marvel movie in the Czech Republic. And I was sitting next to, I didn't go there with her. She was just some other moviegoer.
Yeah.
And I was sitting next to a French woman. I know this because I was chatting with her at some point.
Yeah.
And Chris Hemsworth came out without his shirt on. He's like leaning on a rail, and he's, you know, in all of his hunky glory.
Right.
And she just goes,
Yeah.
she's got this long sigh.
Yeah. And you know, that it's men are inundated with these kinds of things as much as we don't talk about it, and as much as like women have had to deal with this for a very long time. This is a growing issue, and like men are dealing with these things, and men feel bad about their bodies as well. I mean, like, you've always been a very fit, good-looking guy. Me, as I've followed the Oprah weight loss and gain thing throughout my life, like, I don't know. It's definitely been something that's always been hard. Like, I even like my parents would make fun of me after I lost weight and I'd gain a little bit
They
back.
make fun of you,
They-
really?
Oh yeah, they'd be like, "You're looking a little fat." And then moving to the Czech Republic, where
Yeah.
like even when I got, even if I'd gained like 5 pounds, like your students are so honest, they'll be like, "You are looking a little bit fat, Mister." And
That is so funny.
so yeah, I think yeah, it's just something that's maybe not appreciated, and especially for younger men. I think
Yeah.
it's on the rise, and not just bigorexia, but like I said, my friend was bulimic. And this was back, you know, when we were children in the
Yeah.
1800s. So,
I want to point out, when I said that was so funny about your students calling you fat, like not that they were making fun, or not, they weren't making fun of you, not that they were pointing that out, but that they were pointing that out, because that's so Czech to
Yeah.
be just so abrasively honest that like, you know, thanks. I actually wasn't interested in you commenting on my body, but they do it anyway. It's just so funny. But yeah, you reminded me, when I was in my mid to late 20s, I had like cut all sugar out of my diet. I wasn't eating fast food, and I was like
Mhm.
really, really in shape, and I was going to the gym, and like I was too skinny, but I wasn't too
Right.
skinny because of like poor dietary choices, and I wasn't too skinny because like of what I was doing. Well, yeah, because of what I was doing, but like I was really, really healthy. And I
Yeah.
remember my mother was concerned, like, because my face was like skinny, and I didn't look as like I would have looked better with a little more like puff to my cheeks, but
Sure.
like I said, I wasn't unhealthy. Like, I think it was probably the healthiest I'd ever been. But they were like privately talking. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's manorexic." Remember that term?
Yeah.
That I was.
I actually don't. I've never heard that.
Oh, so they were saying that I wasn't anorexic, I was manorexic, and I was like, "You guys have seen me shoveling food into my body. Like I eat like a pig. You've seen me eating.
Yeah.
I'm just not eating garbage like that, and I'm exercising and I'm running, and I was like really, really in shape." So yeah, manorexic was the term they were using back then. I also want to say one quick thing is, because you've called me fit and in shape a couple times, and I've let it go by. I am extraordinarily average in these days. In my 40s, I'm like really lazy. Jody's is the one who's going to the gym all the time. She's running every single day. And I'm super inconsistent with it now. And I'm always kicking myself like, I got to get out there. I got to get out there.
Yeah.
Not out of any sort of bigorexia, just like for my own, you know, age group and my own health. And I really need to step it up. But I'm not out of shape, but I could definitely be a little more fit than I am now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, as you get older, like they say, the number one thing that there's two things to do to age well and like not lose your mind and not fall apart. And it's like lifting weights and being social,
Being
and having
social,
a
yeah.
social group. Those are the
Yeah.
two things that they say to do as you're
Or,
getting older.
or exercising, I think. Maybe, I don't know about lifting weights, but like making sure that your muscles don't atrophy.
Yeah, but they're pushing more towards like lifting weights. Like it strengthens a lot of things that even just exercise doesn't quite get the same effect. But yeah, exercise
Right.
is like every little bit counts. Is
Right.
basically what the research says.
And I think like with lifting weights, there's a difference between like maxing out and then just doing like aerobics with weights. Because I think when you're doing anaerobic weightlifting, you're putting pressure on your cardiovasculature. And if you are middle aged, or if you're older, like that could induce a heart attack. Like that's not great to like be pushing, and you know you're sweat's popping out of your
Sure.
forehead and you're turning red. When you're of a certain age, you need to like, you know, moderate your weightlifting, I think. But anyway, I'm not a doctor or a health guru, so don't listen to me. But it seems counterintuitive if you're like becoming a bodybuilder at age 65 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, to swing this back around to bigorexia, there were a couple things, you know, it might someone might be listening to this and be like, well, what's the downside? Like, you get really buff and you're healthy. But like, the guy in this video, for instance, he was up at 5:30 in the morning till late at night. He worked out twice a day. And I know this doesn't sound bad. He was eating 7 meals, but it like takes over your life. You're not able to enjoy anything else. And he like his emotional state, because he's like, why would anybody want to be with, like, this is how those people think. It's
Right.
like, why would anybody want to be with me? I'm not perfection.
I'm a monster.
I'm a monster. Yeah. And they also talked about another guy, because a lot of people, they're so desperate. And I think that, bringing this also back to the manosphere, this is a narrative that people in the manosphere push, is that you do have to look this way and you do have to be perfect. So I don't think that those things are unconnected. But people get so desperate that they're using steroids. And one of the guys in the story was talking to his mom, where he had died very young because of heart attacks from using steroids and pushing himself to crazy ends.
And he was like 20 when he died. He had a heart attack at 18, and then he had another one at 20, and then he died. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, so before, it's, when you see somebody that's anorexic, like, it's heartbreaking and it's immediately evident. And, you're just like, but when you see somebody that's just really fit, it's harder to empathize, I think, with some of the messed up things that could potentially be going on there. Doesn't mean that everybody, some people are just really fit and they're healthy, but this is sort of something that's on the rise, and I think it's worth being aware of.
It definitely is. And, I was thinking about my own sort of like fitness journey. And I remember I make a joke every time every time a song comes on, like my playlist or whatever, that's from Pearl Jam Versus, their second album. I tell Jody, this is seventh grade Carlos working out in his garage, because we had like we had a weight bench, and I would play that album, and I would just be there like doing bench presses and all my little weights and stuff when I was way too young to be doing it. Not way too young. So here's my defense of that. So when I was in middle school, I had all the baby fat that all the other kids had. And some kids were skinny or whatever, but like I wasn't overweight. I just had like my baby fat, And so, and I didn't have any muscles that I could discern, right? So I had bought a French curling bar, one of those screwy bars.
Yeah.
And I would curl, I don't know how much it was, like 50 pounds, something appropriate for my age. Every single night I would be standing in front of my bedroom mirror, and I would just be curling. And I never saw any results ever. And because I just had like layers of fat on me. I was a little kid. And then I hit puberty, and I hadn't stopped. I kept doing it. And then I hit puberty, and I like thinned out and stretched out a little bit. And all the muscles that I had been yearning for were there. They were just beneath my fat. And my kind of defense of my defense of starting.
That's my body now. That's my body now.
Well, hey, for your next growth spurt, if you just start exercising now. So kind of my defense of starting young is that I think because, and this is just anecdotal and theoretical in my brain, or hypothetical in my brain, is because I was exercising so young, and I found that I think it set my metabolism for like the next 20 years. Because after that, I've always been like, I'm an average sized person, but I've always been really strong, like stronger than I know that I look. And I've never had any trouble with, and part of that's genetics, and I don't have obesity in my family, but like I've never had any weight issues, and I've never had trouble when I go to the gym. It's within a couple weeks, I'm like, I'm good now, and I'll be good for the rest of the year, and I don't even have to go back. You know what I mean? And I feel like that was all metabolism established at a very young age from doing that. And now, like, it's a lot harder. Like, I can't go to the gym for 2 weeks and I'm like, I'm good. Like, I got to work 10 times harder than I did before, or double at least. But I think I've thought about it over the years. Like, I think a lot of that came easy to me because I started so young. But I'd never had bigorexia. I always had like, kind of like you, like I could be this, I could be that. Like I would look better if I would just a little more of this, a little more of that. And just like you, in the times when I've been dissatisfied with, my appearance, like, oh, I wish I was a little less pudgy here, a little less back would be nice. I look back on how I was before, and I had the exact same thoughts. Like when I was younger and I was missing these things, I said, you know what? If I had the exact same thoughts, I would be happier if I was just a little slimmer, a little more muscular. Well, I had those things. Yeah. So I think the difference now is that I'm aware of that. So I'm like, you know what? Now when I look in the mirror, I see like an aging body, which is a new and different dissatisfaction, I guess. But I'm not like wishing that I had something or wishing for a benchmark that I've already had, because I know that I'm fine now. I know I'm not overweight. I'm not
Yeah.
out of shape. I'm satisfied with how I look. Sure, I could look a little different. I could strengthen this. I could strengthen that. I can feel like I could work out the muscles like in my back a little more or in my core. But now it's about mobility. Now it's about just personal strength rather than like I got to look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But both of us, like even being children of the 90s or the 80s and 90s, I was born in 1979 and you were born in 1980. Yeah.
First day of, yeah.
Yeah. So even being, from the way back times before the Insta and the TikTok and all this stuff, and before Chris Hemsworth, both of us like felt like you were in seventh grade lifting weights in front of the mirror every night.
Yeah.
Like this,
Yeah.
this is something that like, I don't think that, men have been comfortable talking about this in terms of like how some of this can be unhealthy and some of the self-image things in the way that women have been comfortable talking about this,
Yeah.
or at least society has been comfortable talking about this with women for a long time. Whereas, like you lifting weights every night, if that had proceeded to an unhealthy place, some of the people around you or you even would have been like, well, you just don't have the willpower. You don't have the willpower to do
that's
this.
true.
And it's a way to put down other people when you're unhealthy. But like unlike you, who did all that work and set your metabolism for the rest of your life, I messed mine up really bad. So like I was a big kid, and my freshman year of high school, I was 200 pounds, which is real big. And then during that year, I found wrestling and I grew 6 inches and I lost 50 pounds. And by the time I was graduating as a senior, like or my low point as senior, my wrestling year, I was down to 149 pounds.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I was the same height that I am now, and like the same, and I'm 215 pounds. Can you imagine taking 65 pounds off of me? Like I was, I went from being a big kid to a kid that was at times, for a purpose, not permanently, but functionally anorexic at times in
I was going to say
wrestling.
that's 149 is probably because you're what, like 5'11", 6 foot? How tall are you?
Yeah, 5'10", 5'10".
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I was down to, I think I got measured at one point. I was under 5% body fat, which is like extremely lean. My face
Yeah.
looked like a skull, and like that yo-yoing, like being big hurt to begin with, but that yo-yoing and stuff, man, my body's never been able to just like maintain stasis. It's like a slow inflation, and then I work really hard and crazily and lose some weight, and then I slowly inflate back up. But it's like a lifelong thing. And this is, from two guys that are in their 40s. So I can't imagine the kind of strain that kids that are on the internet right now all the time feel.
That's the thing, man. This one more thing that I'm grateful for not having to have had endure growing up is about the internet. You know what I mean? The internet is one thing, but the social media, oh my God, that's like another bag of hell that we didn't have to experience. That's why my niece, I don't think has, my sister won't let her have any social media. She's 14. She's probably the last of her friends, but like, she won't let her do it. Like, you're not getting on Facebook. You're not, well, I don't know when she'll break eventually. She has to, because she's, my niece has to enter society the way everyone else is, but at least for now, she's not letting her do it.
Well, you're catching me at a good point, because tomorrow our older boy turns 15 and he hasn't had a phone this whole time.
Yeah.
To the point where like it's really good for him, and we've seen the effects, and he's seen the effects of not having a phone. But it's also like something that's starting to socially hurt him, where like there was a girl at camp and she's like, let's change numbers. And he's like, I don't have because he communicates through our phones. He's like, I don't have a phone. She's like, oh, this probably isn't going to work then.
That's so sad.
Which is, it is sad, but at the same time, like if it's that unimportant to you to connect with somebody at the same time, like you're not clearing the bar of like really wanting to know this person either.
It's probably, no, I mean, it's so sad for him. And in that moment, it's probably for the better.
But in any case, we're about to cross that bridge, and I still think he's going to have very, very minimal kind of social things. But up till now, none. And I have to say, like, we've been thrilled with our choices.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're a parent and you're having a hard time holding firm and you think it's a good idea not to give your kids a phone or something, and if you have, that's fine too. But if you're feeling like it's difficult, but you feel like it's the right thing to do, just stay strong, and you'll be happy. You'll be happy with the choice you made. And I'm not trying to put like shade on people that kids do have a phone, but like if you feel like you don't want to do it, then just don't.
So are you guys going to gift him one for his 15th or what?
Yeah, we've actually, I don't want to say this too loud because I think
Sure,
he
sure,
might
sure.
be home,
Okay.
but we've, so this is the kind of, we like messing with each other. So we got him the phone, but we put in the box, we the Nelson, ha ha, from The Simpsons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We didn't put the phone in the box. We put candy in the box and then a little printout of Nelson laughing at it. So we can give him that. And then we got a bag that we can give him the phone in afterwards. But even then, it's on the bottom with more candy on top and another Nelson laughing. So we can be like, just kidding. There's one more, and he can open it. And he's like, more candy, great.
Yeah.
And then it's at the bottom of that.
He'll know though, right? Like he'll know
Yeah.
you guys aren't going to be so cruel as to give him like a phone box of a. He'll know. He's got to. I mean, it's a great idea, but
Yeah, no, it'll be a fun
for
double
sure.
gotcha. Yeah.
Well, so I don't know if this will like make it in or not because I don't want to sound like we're advertising, but I bought a device. Maybe I told you already. It's called Brick. Have you heard of that? There's quite a few different ones. It's like a little magnetic thing. It's like the size of a matchbox. You put it on your fridge or wherever you want, and then you set your phone. You download an app, and then you configure what apps you don't want to be able to access, and then you have to physically tap your phone to it. And then it blocks all those apps. So like in order to access them, you have to like go and retap the thing. So if you tap it before you leave, you're not going to be able to access Facebook. You're not going to be able to access Instagram.
That's nice.
Or like the back door, if you go to like Google Chrome or whatever, you can't go to the website and then log into there. Like you're not going to be able to do it. So
Yeah.
that to me, that's another solution. Like for anybody with kids who are about to cross that boundary and give them a phone, but they're still concerned, like, well, make them brick it when they go to school or whatever, or I say brick it. Like I said, I'm not advertising for them, but like,
I will break in and say, like, if your kid doesn't absolutely have to have a phone at school, just leave it at home. There's really no reason. And there's lots and lots and lots of studies at this point that show that it really hurts learning. It really hurts your kid. It has drastic effects on their maturity and their learning in school. So like, if you can, just try and like keep it at home. That's what we are going to do that. The phone is not going to school, and we're going to have like all kinds of controls on it, which makes us sound crazy, but
I don't think it does. But what I was going to say was a solution to that is like you can actually use these devices, and like I said, Brick is one of many. There's several little devices, and you don't need a subscription. It's just like you download the app and you buy the product, you buy the physical device, and then you download the app and you're good. You can make your phone just a phone if you just or like I keep my text messages open, so and my phone for when I want to like cut all the other garbage out, but I still want to be able to make a phone call or like respond to a text message or something. So there's other ways around it if you still want to reach your kid. But like you were saying though, I mean, there's going to be, if there's 50 kids, 49 of them are going to have phones. So this kid's not going to be unreachable. Like you're gonna have access to your kid.
But the phones came in because we were talking about bigorexia and the self-image problems and the potential bigger health problems and mental problems that can come with it. And thinking about the bigorexia, I don't know if you have any final thoughts. I think the thing that really caught me, because I knew what this was about, and I'd seen other articles recently about it, was just like watching it, how sad it made me. Like for this guy who seemed actually like a really kind, genuine person. And I just felt really sad for him because he was just trying really hard to be okay.
Well, he was well spoken. He was a handsome guy. He had an amazing body, and he was not happy with himself. And it is, I mean, that is, like you said before, you often see that, associated with women, these body images. You know what I mean? But it's the exact same thing. This bigorexia thing. These people are. He was aware of it at least, though. He was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
he was.
this is an issue that I have, and I can't." I was like, I know that I'm fine." He's like, but I'm not." And the thing with this guy is that he was submitted to it. He was like, "Yeah, I'm never gonna. Like, this is not going away." He's like,
Yeah.
I'll always be dissatisfied. I'm never gonna be good enough." And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's not gonna change without willing to change.
And to be fair, I'm not happy with my body either, but I'm not working nearly as hard as him. I'm not working so hard to be unhappy with my body.
But it's funny because my response to that, I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, I got to get to the gym as I bring another like handful of popcorn to my face in front of the television. You know what I mean? Like, I'm aware of it, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, ooh, yeah, I could firm up a little bit, but I'm like, I'm fine. My wife loves me. I feel good about how I look, and that's as good as you can hope for, I think, as long as you're satisfied with yourself. So I do feel sorry for these guys as well.
Well, I'd watched this video with Jess, and she was saying she was listening to something that was some podcast talking about, men's weight and happiness and stuff. And researchers had found that men of our age bracket, the middle ages,
Yeah.
the happiest men were the men that were like had 10 or 20 pounds to lose. And the guys that were like, had a six pack and something, they were basically saying, if you've got a six pack and you're in your late 40s or 50s, you're really spending a lot of time doing this, and maybe there's something else going on. And there are some people that are just healthy, but like they were saying, like, you just sit on the couch and have a piece of pizza with your wife, and you'll be a happier person. So we might not be perfectly at ease with the way we look, but we've got great wives and we're pretty happy. So that works.
We might not be perfectly at ease with how we look, but we're perfectly at ease. All right, Skip, it is now time for the undisputed best segment of the show.
Woo!
I'd like to know your joy for the week, or joys for the week.
So my joy for the week is actually, so I'm doing one of those very Carlos-y things, and I'm taking something that was potentially negative and turning it into a positive. And that is, we're getting ready for this matriculation test, and I've talked about it before with my older son, where he's got to take an exam that's like Czech and math, and it's sort of like when people take SATs to get into college, but this is like to get into high school. Mm. And if you don't score well enough, you can't go to like high school. You go to like something else. Vocational. Gymnasium is what you're trying to get into. That's what they call high school here. And
okay.
And otherwise, you're going to maybe vocational school, or maybe you don't go to some other kind of school where you're not on track to, have a well-rounded education and potentially go to college. And we just want him to have as many options as possible. And we found out, his school wasn't preparing him quite as well as we had hoped, even though he was getting all 1s and 2s, which is A's and B's here. So I've been spending time with him every day, often like an hour or more, just working on math with him. And I can't really help him with the Czech. But I've come to really value that time. So that's the positive of this. It's I feel like it's been good for our relationship. There's like certain spheres that I'm good at, I don't know, interacting with humans in. And one of them is the classroom. And, I don't always have the ease that like he and my wife do. So being able to just kind of support him and be a patient, good teacher and see him grow and kind of give him accolades for those things, like I've come to really value that time, and it's really a nice thing. So my joy for the week, and probably for the next month and a half, is doing math with my son, which is just more evidence of how cool I am.
Well, that's a great joy, man. And that's a really nice thing to sort of, it's nice to just kind of change a worry into something positive. And like, I guarantee you he's going to reflect back on these moments too, and value them as well, and be grateful for your help, because he's probably under some stress as well.
Oh, I'm sure he is. Yeah. I mean, I think about it, and I think about like our lives respectively. And when I was 14 going on 15, man, I didn't have much going on. And he like I had some chores, but he's got chores, and he's got like all these extracurricular. He's going to the Czech Nationals next weekend
Oh,
for
wow.
high jump and stuff. And, he's got this test that he's studying for a couple hours a night. Like, and he's just like a really mature, level-headed kid that I'm so proud of and I love so much. And like, he's in so much better of a place, like as far as maturity and emotionality than
Yeah.
I was at his age. So I'm just, you know, he struggles more with meth, but I'm endlessly impressed with him as a person. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a thrill.
That's something that I also see at that generation where it's like, I'm hopeful because, we're coming out of these donuts that are just self-involved and like oblivious to the world. But then you have kids like your son and like my niece who are not in, I mean, they're quite young, but they're not interested in like partying or like, getting into fights, or
Yeah.
they're just so much more balanced than I think our generation was. Because when I was that age, I wasn't drinking at 14 or anything, but like, man, I was a year away from that. And like, I just don't see that on the horizon for so many of these kids.
Yeah.
They're like, why would I do that? That's stupid. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like that for me, that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that was something to aspire for. So yeah, or aspire to. So yeah, I'm hopeful for, I guess, what is it? Gen Alpha.
Yeah. So what's your joy for the week?
My joy, I guess I had a little trouble with coming up with a good one, but it's all going to be work related, and I'll see if I can not meander with this one. But so like I said before, this, I don't know if we're on pod or not, but this week's been a little chaotic just because it feels so long ago from when I started. But like I just had some really good, well, not for the patients, I guess, but like good calls to where I just feel like rounded experientially. My patients were young, my patients were old, they were at various stages of urgency. And I don't know, man, it's such a fulfilling job. And I kind of expected that to be the case, but it's gone even further because, I feel like I've passed that point where it's a new job and like my coworkers have gone from like standoffish to like welcoming and smiling, and you can tell they're happy to be partnering with me that day. And like it's just become it was never unpleasant, but it's just become like a different work environment.
Yeah.
And I don't go in there with like gritted teeth and like concerned about my own skills or like how to handle certain situations. And I feel supported among my coworkers. And yeah, it's been a very satisfying few weeks, I think, but this week in particular, like, yeah, some of my patients were, I have imagery burned into my head from some of the things that have happened, but like negatively, but also not negatively. You know what I mean? Like these people didn't die or anything, but it's just like they needed help.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel gratitude for being a part of that and being able to provide, what help I could from my limited resources as a field paramedic. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's been one joy. The other, I think, and this is maybe a little more, I don't know, self-serving, but like I found that like in paramedicine, there's a lot of really, really unhappy medics. And I think they're burned out from the job. I think that one guy that I was talking to kind of nailed it when I was saying how I don't take employer slighting personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this is a company, is a company that is trying to make money. That's what their objective is not to make us happy. I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but that's how capitalism is, right? And I feel like a lot of medics they're unhappy for a lot of reasons, and one of them is that like they're angry that their job doesn't appreciate them in so many ways. And one medic really nailed it by saying, "Yeah, the reason you don't take it personally is because you haven't tied your ego to paramedicine. Like paramedicine isn't life for me. I've got other things going on. I've got a lot of things going on, and this is a job for me. And like I said before, I'm going to do it well, and I'm going to do it with compassion and empathy, and I'm going to do the best I can. But because my ego isn't tied up with it, I don't take stuff personally, and I'm not burned out yet anyway. And I brought all this up is because like I have a lot of deep conversations with people who open up, when they open up. And I feel like the reason I said it's going to be self-serving is I feel like maybe for the first time in my life, I've had people listening to what I'm telling them, what I'm saying to them in a sort of like counsel role. You know what I mean? And I'm not qualified to be giving advice, but like I have an opinion.
Yeah.
And I'll say, well, what have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And yeah, man, like I feel like I've had people meaningfully engage with me and not just sort of dismiss and wait for their turn to speak, but like have listened to me and then have cited stuff back to me that I've said to them. And like, I'm like, wow, like I impacted them.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is a little bit of ego for me because it makes me feel really, really good that like something I've said to somebody is they've carried it with them, and then they're so much that they're able to reference it later. So that's been a joy for me as well. Like just that like I feel appreciated, and I feel like I'm helping not just people in the community, but also people that are maybe having a hard time that I'm working with. You know what I mean? And yeah, it feels really nice. It feels really nice, and that's been something that's been front and center this week as well.
Dude, that's amazing because those are like all the things that people are looking for. I mean, one of the, like, we talk about the manosphere a lot and how people wind up there, but like being fulfilled and having a purpose and feeling seen and heard and connected, like that's everything. And like the fact that you're getting a lot of this in your job, like I haven't had that in so many years with work, and it's like it's the dream, right? That's what you want. So I hope
Yeah.
you don't get burnt out. I hope you always feel appreciated. But like I'm so happy for you right now because that sounds like just perfect.
Yeah, man. It's thanks. I appreciate that. It is. I mean, the trade off is like I mean, you do see some negative stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it has been a deeply, deeply fulfilling job, and I'm really happy that I took that leap and that sort of leap of faith because I didn't know what to expect really, and I'm not a young man, and it was quite a pivot into something different. So, yeah, as I've said before, be fearless, take a chance. You know what I mean? Not you, but anyone
Yeah.
listening. Like, do something that you might be entertaining, but do it and don't be afraid.
Yeah. My wife's favorite refrain when we got married was, "I'm glad you made me do this." So go out and do the thing that nobody is forcing you to do, and like go live your life and find that meaning. Thank you so much for joining us. New podcasts every Wednesday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Instagram, Facebook, and now YouTube. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel, or recommend us to a friend. We hope you'll come back. Have a good one.
Bye-bye now.
It's probably some fat you can cut from that.